Okay, here we go. This is something, well, as they say, and now for something completely different. This is going to be a look into the past with the aid of Google Street View, which, if you're one of the only people in the world who hasn't heard of it yet, basically an offshoot of Google Maps where you can actually go and see what the street looks like, and they've taken like all sorts of 360-degree kind of pictures and stuff like that and put them all together. It's very cool, and if you have the time to waste, definitely it's something you can probably get lost in. But I want to give a quick shout out before we get started on this, which is going to be a very interesting video, I think, for me anyway. It's very, very haunting and quite eerie, but we'll get to that. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to Steve Farrell, old friend from way back when, who kind of alerted me to this weird glitch in the Google Street View system, which as you'll see, it literally kind of brings old buildings back to life. And there are actually some old buildings that are very, I wouldn't say special, but personal to me, and I'll tell you why. As you can see now here, this is Cardiff Bay, and if we zoom out of Cardiff Bay, as you can see on the left here, we have kind of the, I think that's the Techniquest, maybe not, I'm not quite sure. I think that might be more over there actually, but no, it's not. But yeah, this building, as you can see the line where the picture hasn't really matched up completely, but you can pull around and you can do a 360 view. So I'll just zoom out, and here we go. Here's another look at the street, and yeah, this is where I grew up. The first kind of, you know, I mean, I lived in a few different places when I was really young, but from, you know, around age, I think, you know, 1 or 2 up until 6 years old, I used to live in this area, and so, yeah, it's quite weird. Well, it's not really weird looking at it now, because I've been there, you know, ever since, you know, I left there. You know, I've, even as a, you know, in my 20s, I'd go back there because, well, I'll tell you why, but, you know, it's not like I haven't seen this place in a while, but this is a field where you used to walk across and, you know, play. There's a playground over here. So let's just keep going down the road, down Harbour View Road. On the left, you can see a little roundabout there, which is not how it was when I was a kid. But if we go down here, you can see all this. Now, this is where I grew up. This is an area that's known in the Penarth town as the Billy Banks. I'm not quite sure why, actually. It was never officially called that, but yeah, it was just always known as the Billy Banks, because down the left here there's this huge kind of hill that keeps declining down towards the marina, and those were the banks. And I guess I just never really knew the story of why it was called the Billy Banks. I just always knew that it was. And there it is, completely demolished. It was abandoned for many years, and there was only a couple of tenants left. In fact, maybe only one, who refused to leave after all those years, and it was completely abandoned, an absolute ghost town. And, you know, about 10, maybe even 15 years it took for them to actually knock it down, and they finally did. And, you know, it was a bit of an eyesore, to be honest, and you know, I'm glad that they did, because it was really just almost a waste of space. But at the same time, it was, you know, there was a lot of memories there. And you know, as you can see, it's all knocked down, and there's a new Penarth Heights project that's going on there right now. I haven't seen it lately, but I know they're building there, and, you know, they're doing all sorts of fancy stuff now. If we go across here, down this street is where I used to live, and where I used to live was right here. There was a house right by there. Well, it wasn't a house, it was a block of, you know, houses and masonettes, I guess you call them. You've got a guy here captured by the Google Street View camera. I would say immortalized, but that's another reason I'm making this video, is because, you know, just to record it for posterity, because this may go very soon, and they might update it and stuff. You never know. As you can see in the left here, it says that this picture was taken in July of 2012. So yeah, I didn't realize it had been knocked down for a couple of years, but I guess it has been. So yeah, we come down here, and this is exactly where I used to live. Right here. Crazy. You know, all those years of growing up and playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and, you know, watching Star Wars, you know, probably sitting on my windowsill right here somewhere, is now gone, wiped off the face of the planet. Quite strange. And to get to there was 2 ways to get to there. And the first one was down this way. There was a long street, and well, let's just have a look, shall we? If we just get a bit closer. And did you see that? we just walked back in time. We just went back, and it's all there. Look at it. It's all there. An absolute time warp. Incredible. I can't show you exactly where I used to live, because if I go any further back, it'll jump forward in time, and I'd literally go back to the future then. No pun intended. That's exactly what would happen. And so yeah, this is where I used to live. Funnily enough, the Billy Banks. And this right here, these are the steps that I walked up and down many times when I left my house. And if you see this little door here, I'll try and zoom in a little. That little door there leads to a staircase that leads up to two more, kind of 2-floor flats. And I think it was this one. It was not this door, but the one over. And I didn't live on the top, I lived on the bottom, so I didn't need to use that door. But just beyond that was another door to the bottom part of the the building, and that's where I lived. And I would actually say, if you can see this window here is where my friend Matthew used to live, my first ever real friend. He lived above me, and he dropped a toy down in my garden and came down to ask if he could have it back. And we got it out for him, and then we became close friends. And I remember we were almost inseparable. I went up to his once and we watched Drop Dead Fred, and we were far too young for it. But yeah, the Billy Banks, it was a ghost town. I mean, look at it. It was all grown over at this point, which is July 2008. Lots of danger, unsafe building signs. I went inside some of them buildings around that time, actually, in August of 2008, and it was quite dangerous. And all the way down here, my dad used to live in one of these little things here. I'm not sure which one it was. It was either this one here on the left or that one there. I remember very distinctly, and I guess some of my family might be watching this. It's a funny little story. If it was here, it might just be the one behind it, but I remember it was one of these gardens, and my dad, there was some other kid who was over, and my dad said he was going to kick my football so hard he was going to split it in two. And I was like, Dad, don't do that, Dad, don't break the ball. And he was like, kidding around and stuff, and then he just booted it as hard as he could and literally split the ball in half. It was just a little plastic ball, but I was just devastated, and he was just laughing. Probably not a great story to tell, but the other kid who was there, I can't remember who he was, but he ripped the ball in half and used it as a hat, and I was just like gutted. But that was my dad, always entertaining himself. It might have been in this building, but there was definitely like a grass patch that he booted the ball into. But yeah, I mean, here it is, all boarded up, and it's just weird that, as Steve found, you could literally warp through time, and it's just crazy. Chichester Road, that's that's the first place I remember calling home. Down here, little alleyway I used to walk through to get to school every day with my mum. We'd always leave from those steps I just showed you and walk down there to that alleyway. And yeah, I guess you can see the alleyway down there where the little 2013 Google sign is. So there you go. Right there is where I used to live, my first real home. And if we skip over here, it's gone. Bam! Back to the Future. Can you believe it? Unbelievable. And I'll just wrap this off by performing the trick for a second time, hopefully, if this goes well. This is a gate that I've no idea if they've even started building. They might have, because this is 2 years old now. These pictures, these images. I haven't been home for almost, for 7 months, so I'm not sure what progress has been made on the building. But as you can see, complete, just rubble everywhere. But if you try and skip through, my mouse is playing up. We'll try and get there. It's not having it. Oh, here we go. Just underneath the door. Let's try it. Whoom! Look at that. And there it is. All intact. I mean, it's weird to see it. And that's, that's the view. And there was where I used to, another way you could get into, around where my house was. And again, there was my house just there. Somewhere around there is my bedroom window. And yeah, all gone now. Unbelievable. I've said unbelievable far too many times. In fact, it's unbelievable how many times I've said unbelievable so far. So let's just take a skim down Highview Road, see how far it takes us. But as you can see, these buildings are ugly. They're a real eyesore, and as you can see, just a sofa there. But anyone who knows me knows that I used to wrestle. I used to do backyard wrestling, and our arena was down here. We used to wrestle next to these abandoned buildings. It was a very unique backdrop for our videos. And that's it. That's the limit of it. But there's a field down there, and I wonder if you can zoom in and just about make it out. Let's see. Oh, you can. Look at that. The cage. We affectionately called it the cage. There's these two kind of football nets, but they weren't really net. They were steel nets, so you could climb up them, and they were just like steel cages. And being wrestling fans, we just called it the cage. And so there it is. I've jumped off that many a time. And this field here is where we used to wrestle from 2004 all the way up till 2011 when we did our final show there. And around that time, in fact, this was just before one of our shows in August of 2008. This picture was taken in July 2008, so it's interesting because the landscape changed over the years, and for a while there was a huge gathering right here of these kind of travelers who had vans and lorries and camper vans and stuff. But there we go, road closed. We used to just ignore that obviously and just go straight past it. But there you go. Lots of memories there. I mean, I took some moves on that concrete right here. That little bunker right there, you might be able to see it. It's like a kind of where you put the bins. They had these little steel gates you can put the bins in there, and we used to use that for our wrestling segments and stuff when we film like promos and interviews and whatever. And that was an area we used a lot for the wrestling stuff. But yeah, that's about it really. That's a little trip down memory lane where I literally went into the past and went back to the future. And these are the Billy Banks as they were for many years. Lots of memories. In fact, that field I just showed you, I remember like bonfire nights in the 90s, and my uncle used to live in one of these a lot further down the street. I'd say all the way down there somewhere. My uncle and my auntie used to live, and my cousin Ben. So yeah, there you go. Let's take one more trip back to the future, I guess, and wrap this thing up. It's been very interesting. I wish there was a clear view of my house because I'd really like to see it, but I never expected to see it again, to be honest with you. And I don't know. As you can see, that just the vines just growing on that building. It's weird what happens when life leaves an area. And I remember this road so much, and just walking over these stones. I have vivid memories of that, and there's just this little curve around the pavement. Madness. So there we go. If we just go back now, and it's gone forever. But I'm glad that I've recorded this and put it onto video at least. I was thinking about taking some screenshots, but I think the video will suffice. So there you go. This has gone on far longer than I wanted it to, but that was a look at where I used to live, and yeah, a relic of the past resurrected by Google Street View. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Crazy stuff.